Right. Thanks everyone for joining me for this session. So I'm going to talk about what does AI mean for you. So really address the elephant in the room. However, the talk is not about how to become an AI expert or what to do to become an AI expert. This is more to look at where do we stand now, what are the challenges and the opportunities, and where AI is really most pervasive, what are the good practices. So the way I have addressed this specific question around what does AI mean for me has been through a fourfold sort of workshop, which strategizes on visualizing, collaborating, and then contextualizing. I am a Lego Series Play facilitator, so I enjoyed using creative strategy to talk about AI and what does AI mean for us. So this particular workshop involved bringing these two worlds together of Lego Series Blend dexterity and innovation around AI. So the idea behind this workshop really was to understand the implications of AI, how we can use it as a collaborative approach, and how we can integrate AI into our work strategies. So the idea was to visualize using a Lego series play to represent how AI is relevant within our work. Once we did that, we kind of collaborated. So, which meant that we shared and discussed the ideas within our work, within broadly. So, for instance, the workshop really involved four set of groups. One was academic staff, the other was professional staff, the third was people from the community to bring that sort of inclusivity angle, and then the fourth was people from the senior leadership team. So whilst collaborating, for instance, professional colleagues could think in terms of AI reducing their burden on the administrative task. And the third part of this workshop was on contextualizing. So basically identifying a key theory or principle that resonates around your work, and then finally embedding that within the AI approach. So how would you follow the same USP that you have or the principle that you use, and then use AI to enhance the productivity? In terms of the key takeaways that we initially got from this workshop, was that it is very much important for all of us in our capacities to know where we are and where we want to get to. So understand the needs for which you want to use AI for. Have the awareness of how roles are going to change. And this is something that I will speak about in the talk, because I want to shed some light on how AI is changing the job market and the landscape. There were also some concerns that were raised during this particular workshop around losing skills. So, for instance, if our students use AI massively for planning work or for brainstorming or for conceptualizing, does that mean that skill is completely lost? So, if you're leaping into the final design, is the process or the journey completely lost? I think someone, yeah, thanks, Anshul. And then finally, a major takeaway from this workshop was that regulation is very important. As you can see on the screen, we started with an empty tree without any leaves, but towards the end of the workshop, the tree was full. So basically, the idea was to sit together, think about what AI means for us, where we are currently, where we want to get to, and how we want to embed AI into our practice that makes us more effective. So that has been the starting point for me when I look at this question of what AI means for us. Well, right now, I would say Gen AI is revolutionizing. I don't know whether we should say rise of generative AI or the race of generative AI, because the companies are each day the new tool is getting launched or new innovation is coming in. It's really getting difficult to keep up to the pace. As an economist, there are some positive uses that I apply when it comes to generative AI. So, as like for instance, ChatGPT has significantly improved my ability and my students' ability for data handling. So you can plug in huge data sets and ask it to analyze, create charts, create diagrams, bring in new insights. ChatGPT-4 again, or even Copilot, which is something we can all log into, at least our institution allows us to log in through our institutional account. We can create an entire storyboard, so you can get images and put them in a story format. Claude, of course, can or used to summarize, analyze reports, articles, but now, which is something I'm yet to try, we now have Claude 3.5 Sonnet. So it has got more powers than it used to, and some people are also saying that it's even better than the GPT-4. Of course, then there is customized GPT, which have been really useful in the sense that if you have a data inputted and designed into a chatbot, a customized version, then you have specialized information building from it. So students can then use, suppose you've designed a self-help tool or a customized chatbot for your course, then students can use it as a second tutor. Right, so those have been kind of the positive uses that I've been exploring, all my colleagues in higher education. Specifically, one of my favorite uses of AI has been digital storytelling. So as an economist, if I look at these three pictures that were generated using ChatGPT-4, the first one represents liquidity. So I teach financial markets. I use images to depict concepts and speak with my students. Either they identify or they themselves generate images using Copilot. The second one is diminishing marginal utility, which represents more pizza slices, initially good, but then you can't eat any further, so they decline in terms of utility that they give you. And then finally, the third one represents a credit crunch. So quite innovative. It resonates with my students. The concept sort of stays with them because there's visual representation. So creative storytelling, integrating that with economic analysis has been really, really useful for me. And in fact, even useful for students who go into data analysis jobs or become economists within the government services. They've been using it for report writing, so add more images, more visuals, and storyboard complex information so that you can then use it to describe the same concepts to non-economic students as well. Well, not just myself, but there's no dearth of exciting practices within the higher education. Especially, I'm pretty sure everyone has heard of the name Professor Ethan Mollick. He's currently massively tweeting about the new version of Claude, which means using it for simulations even. Then you have Thomas Lancaster has gone a step ahead. He's been using ChatGPT for creating comic books. A very interesting resource which has just been launched. In fact, if I'm not wrong, the launch day or the launch event or seminar is the Monday, 1st of July. However, it's now open source, it's accessible. So this is a second collection of crowdsourced curation of ideas. A really, really interesting place to see and explore ideas from other educators who've been using AI in their practices, includes reflections, practice examples, and now also some of the examples from students. So I would highly recommend or suggest this particular resource that's in the center. So you can just type in that in the Google and it's an open source so that you can look at. So, however, having said that, there is still the question of academic integrity that looms over us. Interestingly, I think I was looking at the participants, and there are, if not two, but at least one person is from University of Reading, and I just happened to come across this particular article, which was just published on the 26th of June, about a study at University of Reading. And they kind of compared exam submissions created by ChatGPT with real students' work, real as in humans, us, and AI is still non-detectable. And when they kept those scripts with the others, the scripts generating using ChatGPT tends to get a higher score. So this whole question about originality is still very much a gray area. In fact, across all the 63 submissions that were generated using AI and were part of the lot, 83.4%, there was a chance that AI work outsourced that of the students. There's, of course, a debate that AI struggles to create more abstract reasoning or integration of information. However, I'm pretty sure that there are different tools that could help you do that and brainstorm. So, I mean, with this whole issue around academic integrity, the pressure on us to detect which work is by the student or which work is AI is often very difficult, also because of the huge amount of workload that we have nowadays. Or are we time pressured? So is it effective or is it efficient way of putting all these scripts through academic misconduct? I don't think that's doable, and that's something even Thomas Lancaster has pointed out. However, and this is where I probably would give a shout out to Anshul as well, because here is a recent blog that has just been out of press yesterday. So we've kind of thought of giving an interesting way of balancing or a process of balancing impact and time together in order to think about the assessment and the changes in assessment. So first of all, one thing is clear, that we need to shift this whole argument from detection to sort of prevention. So we want to bring in new ideas such that our assessments can they're not AI proof, but they still enhance the level of student learning, because I don't think anything is now AI proof with the way the tools are shifting. So please do feel free to check the link and read the entire blog. So the idea behind this blog was simply think of, as an economist, I always think in terms of X and Y axis. So y-axis here, which is the vertical axis, looks at the time factor. So how much time do we as an educator need to modify the assessment? And the x-axis looks at the impact, which is impact in terms of student learning. So there are different techniques that we suggested in terms of what is easily adaptable, but would it have enough impact on student learning? Or what is very difficult to adapt, but it could have a massive impact on student learning. So for instance, formative assessment does involve huge amount of time investment, but could have a massive impact. So the ideal situation on this diagram would be where the impact is high and the time investment is really, really low. So that's something that could still be used in order to understand how assessments should be shifted or changed. AI investment, this whole AI development is not new. So I'm now going to move towards more in terms of where are we when it comes to losing our jobs, or our students reconsidering about which job to take. So AI developments are not new. They have been in place for at least 2 decades. But what is new now is the computational power, because it has increased manyfold. So even the creators of AI are questioning where are the guardrails. We as higher education educators are questioning where are the frameworks for regulation. To just quote Sam Altman, who's the CEO of OpenAI, if this AI goes wrong, or if this tech goes wrong, then it will be very wrong. So that's what he has himself suggested. So where are the regulations? But $1 million question for all of us is that, will AI take our job away? So as an economist, of course, again, these are some of the questions that are many times asked by our students, because our job roles require more of those cognitive abilities, data handling, which are massively exposed to AI. So a study by Goldman Sachs has reported that 300 million full-time jobs could be lost. 2/3 could be automated. Very recently, BT announced that they would axe 50,000 jobs by 2030, and amongst them 10,000 would be replaced by AI. Though there is, of course, potential of increasing the GDP by 7%. However, Having said that, the concern about job loss and AI is still looms over us. So AI is definitely significant. Interestingly, there was a report by the UK Department for Education on impact of AI on jobs and training, and they suggested that employees that have higher level of qualification are in the jobs that are most exposed to AI. So, for instance, economic students with the level 7 qualification are in jobs that are most exposed to AI. And in fact, the AI occupational exposure has got the highest score of 1.26 for them. The other kind of professions include finance, include management consultancy, analytical jobs, anything that requires cognitive abilities or data handling, they are massively impacted by AI. However, of course, there is still the debate that AI can't do empathy, AI can't do trust, relationship building, strategy, critical thinking. But I'm pretty sure that there are now tools, or there will be in the future, that could help you either brainstorm or even do those tasks. Yes, of course, there's the issue of ethics there. You pick up any of these articles, so I'm quickly going to run through a couple of them. Um, there's no dearth. Again, you pick up Financial Times, it's overloaded with articles on impact of AI. A very interesting one was this was managing director at Accenture Canada, who now uses her digital twin to go to meetings, which he thinks is sort of non-productive for her to invest her time. But then she's capitalizing on the fact that AI allows her to use infinite memory bank and endless recall ability. There are articles about OpenAI Meta already speaking about next generation of tools that would not just talk or generate work, but could also plan and reason, which means that artificial general intelligence is imminent. For us, for my students, we always have this question about, they want to go into become financial analysts and join financial markets, investment banks. But then if they happen to read articles such as AI can now pick stocks better than them, that kind of brings that sort of worry whether what would happen to their jobs or the choice of jobs that they have in the future. So, what are the implications for us? Just before this EmpowerED webinar, I kind of read a line which resonates really, really well with the biggest implication for us is to stop scrolling our screens, Twitter and LinkedIn, and start doing. I think it's not about becoming an AI expert. It's not about letting technology overpower our USP, but it is important to be aware and be able to do those or innovate and to be able to use the technology. So a starting point could be go simple, low risk, more effective way, so automate the tasks that you would probably just do regularly. However, also develop a plan. So think about where you want to get to and what tools would help you achieve that plan. I think a platform like this is really, really useful because with AI and the number of developments that happen each day, it's very difficult to keep up to that pace on one's own. So we have to be together in this. But of course, this is something that I also tell my students: declare the content that you prepare using AI. You recheck and check the facts. Ethical issues definitely are present. There are biases in the data. In fact, I'm just on the next slide, I'm going to share a particular sort of resource, which is by Stable Diffusion. And it really tells about, the image generation and the kind of bias that's involved in that in image generation and the stereotyping that's involved. And finally, upskill into the new areas. So prompt engineering is something I'm pretty sure we all have heard. Fact checking, risk identification in AI. To leave you with a few resources, so just before that slide, there are a couple of books that I've been recently reading, and two of them have really caught my attention. One is on rebooting AI. This is really about how you can build useful and ethical AI. It's not very technical, so it kind of develops your interest around that. And the second book, which is on data bias, is Invisible Women. If you look at the title again, there's a visible men hidden in that title. So it's all about how much stereotyping and data bias is involved when it comes to designing these technology. Then, of course, Ethan Mollick's One Useful Thing. If you haven't really subscribed to it, please do that. There's a Turing online learning platform, which has free courses even on ethics. So you're most welcome. And then there are three other resources that are listed underneath. In fact, the second bullet point is the one that I was mentioning about, which is on stereotyping when it comes to image generation. And there's a custom GPT MIT Sloan comprehensive guide for anyone who's interested. So I think I'm going to stop on that. And thank you. So plan ahead and keep going.